The moment I found a neon orange HOA citation zip-tied to my front door, I knew suburban warfare had kicked off. Not because I'd set up a meth lab, thrown a backyard rave, or erected a giant inflatable dinosaur. No, it was my truck me beat-up, oversized 1989 pickup named Matilda. Apparently, Matilda had committed the unforgivable sin of being an eyesore, and with that, Linda had declared war. This wasn't just about a vehicle. It was about pride, personal space, and the sacred American right to keep your gloriously ugly stuff in your own driveway. It all started 2 weeks earlier. I'd just gotten back from a grocery run, Matilda rumbling and coughing like she always did, full of charm. I tossed the milk in the fridge, stepped out to grab the mail, and there it was, an HOA violation notice flapping in the breeze like it was scripted for drama. It read, "You are in direct violation of HOA Regulation 7.4. See storage of derelict, unkempt, or visually aggressive vehicles." Visually aggressive? I laughed out loud. Matilda's bumper was held together with zip ties, sure, and one mirror was duct taped on with stars and stripes tape, but aggressive? She looked like a country song, and a junkyard had a love child. Across the street stood Linda, arms crossed tighter than a pickle jar lid, giving me the smile of someone who'd report a lemonade stand for permit violations. Linda was the HOA president, and word was she'd once campaigned to ban inflatable snowmen because they lowered property values and disrupted community harmony. Now, she'd set her sights on Matilda. I'm not exactly HOA poster material flip-flops year-round. Lawn mowed when it starts looking like a safari, but I keep to myself, pay my dues, and nod at neighbors. Still, Linda had it out for me ever since I skipped her neighborhood 4th of July potluck 3 years ago, saying I'd rather wrestle a cactus. I figured the notice was a one-time jab. Maybe she'd chill. Then came a second violation the next day, citing unauthorized modifications. The day after, a $50 daily fine until Matilda was gone. It wasn't about rules, Anna Maria, it was personal. My daughter, Sophie, 17, saw the third notice and nearly choked on her toast. "Dad, this is TikTok gold," she said, filming a dramatic reading of the citation while I polished Matilda with a rag. She called it HOA versus Freedom, Episode 1. It went viralish, racking up a few 100,000 VYUs. Comments rolled in, comparing Linda to a dystopian overlord or a malfunctioning chatbot. I tried reasoning with Linda once, catching her while she was trimming her hedges like they'd insulted her family. "Linda," I said, "Matilda's paid for, inspected, and parked on my property. Can't we work this out?" She looked up with that pinched face she always had, like she'd just sniffed expired yogurt. "Tom, it's not personal. It's about the neighborhood's aesthetic integrity. Linda, Matilda's got character. She's an eyesore. She's leaking oil into our community's soul." It was like debating a traffic cone with a vendetta. I backed off, but I wasn't done. That night, after a beer and a call with my old army buddy, Nick Bulldog Russo, I hatched a plan so absurd it might just work. Bulldog, now running a shady surplus yard in Nevada, didn't flinch when I asked, "Got anything bigger than a truck?" He paused, then said, "Wheeled or tracked? You want to roll or terrify?" The next morning, Sophie and I gave Matilda a glow-up, glittery flame decals, fake eyelashes on the headlights, and a sparkly dolphin hood ornament. By noon, another HOA letter arrived. The neighborhood turned into a passive-aggressive battleground. Linda rallied her HOA posse, Carl from Lot 12, who'd once narked on a kid's treehouse, Martha from Lot 5, who labeled her trash cans like a librarian, and Greg, who I'm pretty sure hasn't smiled since the 90s. They started drafting new bylaws, calling it Operation Community Cleanse. I had my own operation, Thunder Run. 4 days later, at 3 a.m., a flatbed rolled in, courtesy of Bulldog, carrying a decommissioned FE-432 British armored personnel carrier. Not a tank, technically, but close enough. Sophie filmed it all as neighbors peeked through curtains. Linda stormed out in a bathrobe, gripping a mug that said, "Rules Bang Love," her face redder than a sunburned tomato. "This is outrageous," she yelled. "It's registered, insured, and technically not a tank," I said, grinning. "It's got a cup holder." "That's domestic." By sunrise, the street was buzzing. An emergency HOA meeting was called that afternoon in the clubhouse, a mix of courtroom and reality TV. Linda stood up front like a game show host gone rogue, rattling off every rule I'd allegedly broken. I countered with a PowerPoint, why my tank is suburban progress, featuring slides like porch pirate deterrent and neighborhood charm boost. People laughed except Linda, who glared like she was trying to set me on fire with her mind. The board was dead. Some thought I'd lost it. Others quietly loathed Linda and loved the chaos. I got 72 hours to ditch the tank, but I had a plan, and it didn't involve surrender. That night, Sophie's video hit 2 million VYUs. Comments poured in, suggesting t-shirts, stickers, even a crowdfunding campaign. I'd accidentally become the poster child for suburban defiance. Linda was plotting, but so was I. The war was just warming up. I barely slept after the tank arrived, checking every hour to make sure it was still there, squatting in my driveway like a steel buffalo. It wasn't pristine, more like it had fought in a war and retired to a junkyard, but to me, it was perfect. Not just because it drove Linda nuts, but because it screamed, "I'm not your puppet, HOA." By morning, neighbors were gawking, filming, even clapping. My neighbor Tim, who'd said maybe 10 words to me in 5 years, handed me coffee and muttered, "Hero." Then he shuffled off like that was normal. Linda, predictably, emerged like a soap opera VY lane in a khaki tracksuit, dialing her phone like she was summoning a drone strike. Within minutes, a sheriff's cruiser pulled up. I braced for trouble, but the deputy stepped out and grinned. "Tom Grayson, that you?" Sheriff Mike Torres and I went way back, same unit in Iraq. Once shared a tent during a sandstorm so bad we used socks as air filters. He had the tank, chuckling. "Street legal?" "Technically not a tank," I said. "Collector vehicle, no weapons." Linda shrieked, "It's a threat." Mike ignored her. "You've got 72 hours, Tom. It's a gray area, but move fast." He left with a nod. Linda looked like she'd just seen her HOA binder shredded. Sophie was already editing footage. The tank's arrival, Linda's meltdown, Mike's cameo. She titled it Linda vs. the Tank, Driveway Apocalypse. By dinner, it had 1.5 million VYUs. Memes exploded: Linda's face on a dragon, me in flip-flops commanding a tank army. That night, Bulldog called, "You're trending, man." Also, got another surprise. Sky banner to troll Linda. "Save it for the endgame," I said. Linda doubled down, posting notices for another emergency HOA meeting to ban military-grade equipment. I fought back, cleaning the tank with a borrowed pressure washer and VYing Sophie paint a mural, a bald eagle clutching a spark plug, soaring over neighborhood pride. I printed flyers, "Why my tank makes us stronger," and hit every mailbox. This wasn't just about me anymore. It was for every guy who'd been fined for a crooked mailbox, every kid whose basketball hoop got a citation. The meeting was a circus. Linda, hair helmeted with spray, clutched a binder like a shield, preaching about suburban sanctity. I kept it simple. I parked a tank because someone said I couldn't park my truck. Push people too far, you get pushback. You get tanks. The room laughed, even some of Linda's cronies. Tim shouted, "Let him keep it," beer in hand, against clubhouse rules. The vote to ban the tank stalled. They needed a full community poll. For now, the tank stayed. Linda stormed out, plotting her next move. I walked home with Sophie, who grinned and said, "This isn't over, is it?" "Nope," I replied. "It's about to get epic." 3 days later, I got hit with a lawsuit, not from the HOA, but a private attorney, Vincent Vale, whose letterhead screamed, "I overcharge." He claimed I was inciting vehicular chaos and disrupting municipal harmony. It was nonsense, but scary nonsense. I called Bulldog. "You need dirt," he said. I hesitated. Petty wasn't my style, but I couldn't lose Matilda or the tank. So, I dug. Turns out, HOA board member Stan wasn't Linda's fan. He towed her line out of fear but flipped after her latest power grab. He sent me emails showing Linda planned to sell HOA parkland for a luxury pet salon, think doggy saunas. That park was the neighborhood's heart. Trees, benches, space for kids. If people knew, Linda was toast. Stan also leaked a spreadsheet. Linda's cousin's landscaping firm, hired with HOA funds at triple rates. Jackpot. Meanwhile, Sophie's latest video hit 5 million VYUs. Fans mailed us gear. Linda, tread lightly stickers, a tiny tank model with a furious doll vying a rulebook. A bakery sent a Matilda-shaped cake with "Freedom's Got Wheels" in icing. Then the news showed up local. the National. I dodged their revolutionary label, but Sophie nailed it. We're just saying regular folks can stand up. Also, tanks rock. Talk shows called. Someone pitched a Netflix special. Linda pushed harder, trying to revoke my HOA status legally impossible, but she tried. I countered, filing a motion to allow vintage military displays in the HOA charter. It forced a vote, opening debate. The night before, Linda went door to door with faked photos, my tank crushing a sedan, another with a headline claiming I planned a suburban siege. Desperate. Vote day was chaos signs, chants, a guy in a tank-shaped hat. Right before the tally, Vincent Vale stood. I'm dropping the lawsuit, he said, eyeing Stan, who'd leaked Linda's park scheme. I won't represent someone misusing HOA power for profit. The room gasped. Linda imploded, stammering, then bolted. Cheers erupted. The tank stayed for now. 2 days later, a city code officer, Dave, showed up, nervous as a cat in a kennel. Linda had ratted to the city, citing a rule against non-functional heavy machinery in residential zones. Penalty, fines, then towing. I had 48 hours. Sophie, camera ready, asked, "What's the plan?" I stared at the tank and grinned. Social media exploded. The Save the Tank trended. Supporters camped on my lawn with signs and tacos. Bulldog rolled in with a second FE432, hidden under a tarp. Back up, he winked. Sophie filmed it, crowd cheering. Then I played my ace. I offered the tank to the local museum as a leave-viewing exhibit on my driveway for a year, tied to military history and free speech. The director, Ellen, loved it, sending the city a letter praising its cultural value. They couldn't tow museum property without PR suicide. At the city hearing, Linda went full throttle, WAV-wying doctored photos and quoting obscure quotes. I handed over Ellen's letter and said, "This tank's about freedom, maybe a pinch of defiance, but the good kind." Ellen stood. His driveway's a landmark now. The council voted my way, approving the display. Linda stormed out, muttering about MOVYing. A week later, she did, selling to a chill couple who adored Matilda. With Linda gone, I got elected HOA president. Nobody else wanted it, and I vowed no trampoline bans. We kept the park, started Tank Fest, a block party with hot dogs and tank rides, in the backup FE432, dubbed Mildred. Veterans joined, making it a fundraiser. The neighborhood loosened up, more chats, fewer fines. Someone built a tank-shaped book nook. One morning, Sophie hopped on the tank with me, coffee in hand. "Suburban legend, huh?" she teased. "Just a guy who loves his truck," I said. "But I did it for Matilda, for freedom, for everyone tired of HOA clipboard tyrants." The tank's still there, purring, ready for whatever comes next.